Welcome to the Jedislander Vlogcast. This is episode 3, and today we're going to be talking about, we're going to start off with a little bit sad note and then ended up with something that's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing that we're going to talk about is something that happened Monday morning. Designer Kate Spade, and also the sister-in-law of actor and comedian David Spade. She died Monday morning in what seems to be an apparent suicide. I believe it was by hanging. And it's kind of a shocking thing because she has a very successful line of, she does handbags and accessories and stuff of that sort. And I mean, she was, making very good money, living a pretty good life, and she obviously suffered from some kind of depression to have done this. And she leaves behind not only her husband, but also a 13-year-old daughter. So first of all, our condolences go to the Spade family and then the extended family and friends and loved ones that cared for her. It's a very sad thing when something like this happens. And I know there's a lot of people that like to say that she took the easy way out, that she was selfish and stuff like that. And it's very easy to say when you don't suffer from different types of depression or anxiety or whatever, stuff that she may have been suffering from, or you don't deal with family members. And it's very easy to be unsympathetic, especially when somebody who's so successful and living, what people would call the good life, quote unquote, on that one. And because it kind of angers me when I see people say that they took the easy way out, because that's not an easy decision to make, to take your own life. Most people in this world are afraid of death to begin with, and to say that somebody made that ultimate decision, that they just took the easy way out, they were just cowards and stuff like that. No, it takes a lot of guts to make that final decision. And I can see where some people say that that those people are being selfish. That they're being selfish and stuff like that. And maybe in some instances, some people are, but we don't know other people's mindsets.
Yeah.
And we don't know what she's going through. If she was in her right mind when she did this to begin with. Because if you ask me, when you make that final decision to take your own life, there's no way you can actually be fully in your right mind to do that. And so, a lot of sympathy, goes, because I personally have suffered with such type depression and different issues like that. Thank God that there's help these days that I'm going through. And, I see, it's public knowledge. I'm very transparent and open that I do see a therapist.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, and I am on medications, and I have a great support system, whether it's with the family or with my therapist, different friends that I talk to. And if you're watching this and you're going through stuff, I just want to let you know that you are not alone. And heck, I mean, if you need somebody to talk to and you can't find anybody, message me, on the comment section. And I would definitely talk with you and share what I go through on a daily basis as well. But Caleb, what are your thoughts on this?
It's just a really sad occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
For whenever somebody takes their own life, celebrity or not. It's like you said, it's wrong to be judgmental about something like this. And it's good that there is help for people out there.
Yeah, and once again, like I said, I've seen through even Facebook posts from some of my friends, who said that she was a coward and all this other stuff, and people putting on different social media things, and even some people on TV, and stuff like that is something that the family does not have to be hearing right now. And chances are they're not paying attention to the news right now. They're dealing with their grief in whichever way they deal with this type of grief.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's sad, it's tragic. Just because they're celebrities, it doesn't mean that they're living the good life. I mean, yes, they may have, they may have lots of money, they may have lots of possessions, which we know that's not what makes happiness. But people will still say, well, they're living the good life, and I don't see why they would do something like this. But once again, it's sad. I agree with them, just knowing the situations that I deal with on a daily basis, because it's a constant thing going on in my head all the time with my depression and my other issues that I have, and once again, thoughts and prayers go out to the family, friends, and loved ones, and man, we just gotta just be kind to each other. And once again, if you're dealing with this stuff, talk to somebody, please. And if you suspect somebody's going through something, please reach out to them, talk to them, and because I don't want to hear about any of my loved ones doing this, because I have had a couple of family members who have taken their own lives as well, and it's a sad thing for everybody to go through. And don't ask what you could have done to have prevented this, because putting yourself through a guilt trip when something like this happens, that's not healthy as well. So once again, just reach out to somebody. And once again, if you're going through stuff and you want to talk to somebody, reach me in the comment section, or if you get on my Twitter, at Jedislander, I will definitely reach out back to you, and hey, maybe we could help each other out. But so that's all we have to say about the Kate Spade apparent suicide. But on a lighter note, earlier this evening we watched Tuesday's airing of America's Got Talent.
Yes.
And if y'all don't already know this about me, I'm a reality junkie. I love reality TV. That's one of my guilty pleasures. And competition shows. I like watching the competition shows, at least the audition parts of it, because once it gets further into the seasons for the competition shows, it just seems like it's the same thing over and over again. And yes, we understand that most of this stuff is producer pushed.
Yeah.
The people who end up winning these different reality competitions and these talent shows, like America's Got Talent. And
it's the reason American Idol is done for us.
But there was a certain comedian on America's Got Talent on Tuesday night by the name of, let me say his name slowly so I say it correctly, Alex Hooper. So many times we've already accidentally say Alice Cooper,
yeah.
But it's Alex Hooper. And this guy is a very funny comedian. He's an insult comic. And this is what he brought to America's Got Talent. What he does when it comes to comedy, he does his insult comics.
Yes.
And he comes out kind of flamboyant, which he was just in character. And
he went off saying that he was gonna bring positivity and joy through comedy.
Yeah, and boy, did he not bring joy to these judges and Miss Tyra Banks. And what he did is he roasted Tyra Banks and the judges, and it didn't go over too well, did it?
No, the moment he went off and roasted Tyra Banks, the audience was shut off from him.
I mean, right off the bat, they were booing him, doing the whole X him out so that he can get eliminated, so he doesn't move on. And ultimately, he did not move on.
He he had gone like one by one. He went to Tyra Banks, he went to Howie, then Mel B, then Heidi, and then he went to Simon.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I mean, these judges are always roasting each other to begin with.
And they've had like other contestants' children who made it through roasting them.
Yeah. So what happened with this guy, Alex Hooper, is that once again he starts off with Tyra Banks, you know, with a joke saying that it takes a lot of courage to come and do a show like that and still make it all about her, which Tyra Banks,
She really does.
she really does. I mean, oh man, I miss Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon was genuinely funny, and Tyra Banks, I mean, she's good at what she does.
Sure, Nick Cannon did a lot of camera hogging as well, but
at least he was entertaining when
he was
did it.
entertaining. Tyra Banks makes it a point to make her camera hogging about her.
Yeah, and I think she's trying to be too much like Nick Cannon was.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work out for her. And I think,
Although this act did make me wonder what he would have said to Nick Cannon.
and I think Nick Cannon would have laughed it off too. But so Tyra Banks was obviously not liking being roasted, and then he moves on.
Yeah, because before he started his act, he said he was gonna address Tyra Banks, and she's just like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, woo yeah, you're right. And
Then after he insults her, she's like, "Oh, get him out of here."
yeah, and so he moves on to Howie Mandel, and then makes a joke. You know, a Canadian judging an American competition. Why? Because all three Canadians with all the talent have already been taken. It's, you know, something to that effect.
Then he compares his complexion to a big toe, and he gets an X.
Yeah, and then he says, let's move on from Bobby's World, which was a cartoon where Howie Mandel voiced Bobby, and then he says, let's move on to Spice World. So he's hitting up on Mel B, and he says, you know, something like Scary Spice, and the only thing scary about Mel B.
I think that was her stage name.
Yeah, that was her stage name for the Spice Girls, and then he goes, the only thing scary about her was her solo career. And ooh boy, she hit that X really fast.
Mm-hmm.
She hit that buzzer really fast for that X, and
the entire time, like from Tyra Banks to Mel B and onward, they're booing him.
yeah, the crowd is just booing. But the thing about Mel B though, about her solo career, was it was pretty bad. I mean, it was pretty bad and forgettable. And I know she wishes that she would forget it herself.
And as a roasting comic, everything he said was very truthful.
Because basically that's what roasting comics do. I mean, they'll of course embellish some stuff, but
their comedy is rooted in truth.
yeah. And then he goes on to Heidi Klum and says, you know, you had 4 children, but
You look like you don't pay attention to any of them.
you know, by the shape your body's in, it looks like you don't pay attention to any of them. And then makes a joke about her makeup, that she looks like she got her makeup from a Sephora sale. And then he moves on to Simon.
Now, the ironic thing about when he transitioned to Simon, you have Mel B saying, "Oh, what are you gonna say about Simon?"
And then the crowd.
And then the crowd's just like, "Oh yeah, roast Simon, roast Simon."
So the crowd, they're booing everything, and then when they get to Simon, the crowd starts cheering, ready for him to say something mean about Simon. And the thing about Simon is, Simon Cowell was actually laughing through everything that was going on.
He loved it.
And then when it was his turn, he just said, "Come on, bring it on, let's hear it."
He was laughing even through his own roasts.
Yeah, and of course, first he makes a comment, you know, about Simon being British, and then we find a country to get away from Brits like you. And then he moves on to Simon's teeth, which Simon has very beautiful teeth.
And of course, it's a joke on how British teeth are horrible.
Are horrible, and says that he's like, "Good thing you fixed your teeth. They're so straight and white. 3 of them were offered a cabinet in Trump's cabinet," and which was hilarious. And then that's where everything ended. And once again, the judges, they were so, excuse the term, but they were so butthurt by everything, except Simon, because Simon was laughing throughout the whole.
Heck, Simon's the only one that gave him a yes.
Yeah, and of course the other 3 judges were no, get him out of here.
Tyra Banks, the audience as well.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, there's a thing in the past where insult comics were some of the funniest comics. I mean, Don Rickles, one of the most legendary comics, was an insult comic, and that's what he did. He made racial jokes. He made religious jokes. He made jokes about everything. I mean, you name it, he made a joke about it. Which, of course, Don Rickles, if he was still alive today, and if he was in his prime today, he would have a hard time getting work. And
Oh yeah.
but the thing about this Alex Hooper is that he is actually a pretty well-known insult comic. And this is what he does. He roasts people. That's his whole shtick.
Like he's had multiple spots on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been part of what's called the Roast Masters, where two comedians will go back and forth roasting each other. And we were watching a couple of clips before we started recording.
Yes.
And not only can he roast people, but he can also take a roast. I mean,
And that goes for all these roasters, not just him. They will take a roast and not even flinch.
yeah. So I mean, this is what he does. And the sad thing is, we live in a day and age now where something like this cannot go mainstream because people's feelings get too hurt. And
But the thing is, on the other hand, they love it when somebody that they view as a horrible person gets insulted, like Simon.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
It just shows.
They all view Simon as this arrogant man who just hates everything, and yet
which he probably is.
and yet he's the only one that likes this insult comic, while the other majorly arrogant judges and Tyra Banks are all hating this comic because he hurt their feelings.
Yeah. So I mean, the crazy thing about it is to Howie Mandel, who's also a comedian, who's also made some what they would call today improper jokes. How quickly he buzzed them, and it's pretty sad to see. But hey, you know, I was entertained by Alex Hooper, and I mean, look him up. I mean, he has an album on Spotify. There's lots of clips on him on YouTube, and that's Alex Hooper. And yeah, I mean, check him out. The dude is funny. But
you know what? There was one thing we were talking about before we recorded, and that's the one way he would have automatically made it through. And this goes for any of these competition reality shows, American Idol, The Voice, and America's Got Talent. If he came out onto the stage and before he went roasting them, he gave them a major sob story about cancer or an abusive childhood,
being
or
touched as a child or something,
living in poverty or something.
But there was no sob story, you know, before everything. So of course,
so he had nothing. I mean, if there's anything that these shows seem to lack a lot of the time is actual talent, because they focus on these people's personalities rather than their actual abilities.
yeah. But that's the way it is. But that's all we have for right now. So hey, if you like this, give us a like. If you didn't like it, go ahead and dislike it, I guess. But also, once again, you can hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notifications. Because once again, we're doing these videos. We're trying to do it about 2 or 3 a week. So so you'll be notified every time we get a video. At least that's the purpose of that bell. But apparently, according to other YouTubers, it doesn't always happen that way. But hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
But until next time, live, love, game, and aloha means adios.